Okay, year five. This is our text for shared reading. We didn't have an opportunity to look at it this week, so this is the first time. I had a really good chat with Phoenix actually about the cover because he noticed it and he sort of said it looks like some kind of like horror kind of thing going on. He said the writing was a bit kind of like creepy and there was just like a white outline of a body. So yeah, looking at the cover of a book is really important. It often gives you kind of like lots of clues about what might happen inside. So obviously we can see the poppies and hopefully we all know what they represent. The title is called The Last Post. Now, it kind of made me think of a few things. I don't know what you think about the title of the book and what it makes you think about. We'll have a discussion about that when we get back into class. It says a poignant short story of love, hope, and legacy during the First World War. Okay, so I'm going to read you the first part of the book. Before we start that, on the back, the blurb, it says, "We were all just desperate men who wanted to be home for Christmas with the ones we loved. Our hearts torn between the duty to our country and the warmth and shelter of our families." Okay, so I just want you to have a little think for a moment. Who do you think said this and what does it mean? Okay, now whilst you're thinking, I am going to light some candles because it's kind of getting very dark in here and the electricity at Blanchet headquarters doesn't always work. So I'm going to try and read by candlelight. I just want you to listen very carefully to the story and then we'll talk about some questions that I want you to think about. Okay, so The Last Post by Keith Campion. It starts off with this. December 24th, 1984. Dear Dad, well, we made it. I wanted to come alone, as usual, but it wasn't to be. Not this time. It was touch and go whether I'd be able to come at all. We took the same route as you, across the sea by ferry and land by rail. It's been a long journey and I'm weary, but I had to do it. It took a while to search for it again. After all, there are so many of them here, but eventually we found it. We found you. I took your photo out of my pocket and gripped it as tightly as I was able to. I've still got it, Dad. After all this time, it's the one Mum took on the day you left. My memory of you paused in that picture. My son wheeled me right up close to you, then helped me up and lowered me to my knee. A song thrush watched me intently from nearby beneath a still blank sky. I reached forward to steady myself, then put out my hand, closing my eyes, wanting the warmth of skin and finding only stone. No matter how many times I've done this, the disappointment still hurts. The pain has haunted me all my life. It's never left me, especially in my dreams. They all begin the same, with the ticking of a clock. It's the one from the kitchen wall in our old house. Do you remember it, Dad? It's the one I used to watch, waiting for you to come home for Christmas. Suddenly the clock is silent, frozen at 9:30. It starts moving backwards, slowly at first, but then whirring quicker and quicker. Then there are the fields, these fields, the ones beyond your headstone, but they're not shrouded in mist as they are now. The meadows are bathed in sunlight and covered in crimson poppies, swaying in the breeze. Yet I feel uneasy. Dark clouds gather and the winds pick up. Leaves are torn from trees and petals are ripped from the poppies. There's an eruption, a swirl of colour. Red confetti rising up into the storm. Grass shrivels and perishes, and there's nothing left but desolation and mud. I'm there, and you are too, Dad. I know you're close, I can feel you, but it's impossible to see. I try so hard, but the petals are in front of my eyes, obscuring my vision, the colour of blood. And then there is blood. Explosions flash, the ground rumbles, there are shouts from men, desperate cries. Through the cacophony, I hear you, but I can't see you. I'm racing through the trenches, searching frantically, darting through miles of zigzag channels dug into the ground. Every time I think I catch a glimpse of you, you disappear around a corner, just out of sight. Finally, exhausted, I round the last bend and I see you ahead of me by the trench wall, hunched with the balls of your hands pressed to your eyes, your khaki uniform caked in mud. I approach and stand before you, sinking up to my knees in the freezing mud. I have my hand outstretched, offering a letter for you. This is the dream I've had 1,000 times over the years. I see it, Dad. I see a glimpse of what you and all those others went through. I'm back in my chair now, my blanket round my knees. These past decades, I've had to come to you. But I know this will be my last visit. I need to speak to you this one last time. I felt so close to you when we wrote during the war. I've brought my hip flask and taken a few swigs to steady my hand and my heart. My family have backed off a little, giving me space, heads bowed. I didn't have to ask. They just knew. I'm glad they're here, but this is how I wanted it, really. To be alone. It's bitter, and despite all my layers, I'm trembling. They told me not to come this time, but they knew there was little point trying to stop me. To be honest, it's been a struggle to get here. I had to find something deep inside me and put the aches and pains to one side for now. I'm looking over a sea of white crosses, so many men, all those lives. This is why I kept coming. This is why I'm here now. There were so many boys and girls who, just like me, grew up living with their father's sacrifice, never forgetting what they did, what they went through. I'm a bit warmer now, and I feel ready to leave, but it's Christmas, so I've bought you your gift. I'm going to leave it right here on your grave. It's a carving, just like the one you sent me all those years ago. It took me a while. My hands aren't as sharp as they used to be. It's difficult to remember what I looked like 70 years ago, but I hope you can see the likeness. Don't worry, I fetched your carving along too. It's been sitting on a shelf in our workshop all these years, next to the box of letters, watching over me. I've treasured it, all right? I'm going to put them both right here on your grave with this letter, my last letter. Merry Christmas, Dad. See you soon. William. Okay, so an interesting start to the last post. So that was a letter from William to his dad. So I want you to think about these things. What is William reflecting about? Okay, so what is he really thinking about in his letter? Okay, and what do you notice about the date? The date, I'll just have a look again. The date was December the 24th, 1984. Okay, so why is that date important? Where is William? Were there any clues in the text that could tell you where he might be? Okay, so if you're with an adult or maybe just by yourself, just try and think or discuss those questions. using evidence from what I have just read. Okay, so you can pause the video for your discussion. Okay, and now I'd like you to have a go at answering these questions further. Okay, so how do you know that William is an old man? Okay. Why do you think William dreams about the war? And finally, it's a really important question. Why is this his last letter? He describes it as being his last letter. And what does he mean by see you soon? I'll see you soon, Dad. What does he mean by that? Okay, so it's been an interesting first letter. The book is actually compiled of lots of letters from William to his dad and from his dad to William. So it's a very interesting book, and I'm sure we're going to enjoy it this term. Okay, great stuff. Year 5, and we'll see you soon. Always blow the candles out.